The rules for the third segment of the evening with the candidates for Columbia County School Board District 2 are the same as the first two segments. So let's get started by meeting the candidates for school board. The incumbent in the seat decided to retire, so we have three challengers for the one seat in District 2. We have Ms. Dana Brady, Mr. Cedric Davis, and Ms. Deborah Robarts. We drew numbers prior to coming into the studio, and candidate Brady drew the number 1. Ms. Brady, you have 2 minutes to make an opening statement to the voters of Columbia County.
Thank you. I'd first like to say thank you to Florida Gateway College, the Chamber, and the Lake City Reporter for hosting this event. I'm very happy to be here. A little bit of personal information about myself. I'm an instructor at Florida Gateway College. I teach criminal justice here, and I'm happy to say that this fall semester I'll be entering my third year of teaching at the college. Prior to transitioning into education, I was a prosecuting attorney in Lake City for 8 years, and I specialize in the area of juvenile prosecution. So I have a lot of experience in dealing with juvenile issues as they relate to not only the criminal justice system, but the Columbia County School Board. So why do I want to be your next school board member for District 2? Well, first, I have a vested interest in District 2 schools. I'm the only candidate that actually has children that attend school in the district. I have 2 children who attend Fort White Elementary, and my oldest son attends school at Fort White Middle School. I also possess leadership skills and decision-making experience, which I believe will make me a valid member of the Columbia County School Board. As I said, I was previously a prosecuting attorney. I'm an instructor. I've served on the Fort White Elementary PTO as their president. I've served on the School Advisory Council. I'm the current president of the Fort White Boys Basketball Booster Club, and I believe all of these experiences give me valid leadership skills that I can bring to the board. I also have decision-making experience. In my career as a prosecutor and instructor, I've made decisions daily regarding students and defendants in the criminal justice system, and those decisions affected the lives of many residents in Columbia County. I believe that my vested interest, my leadership skills, and my decision-making experience make me the best candidate for School Board District 2, and I would love to have your support through early voting, which begins Saturday through the 4th through the 11th, and on the primary on August the 14th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now time for the opening statement from candidate Cedric Davis. Mr. Davis, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. I'd like to say thank you also to Florida Gateway College and the Chamber of Commerce. Hello, my name is Cedric Davis, and I'm running for the School Board District 2 in Columbia County here. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm 48 years old. I was born and raised in Columbia County. I've been here all my life. I spent the first part of my career as a law enforcement officer at the Lake City Police Department as a patrol officer, then into an investigator, spent some time at the state attorney's office there. Then went on from there, taught at Fort White High School. I'm the only teacher, past teacher of this race, who spent some time in that profession and everything. I taught at Fort White High School's school year 2007, 2008. I spent actual time in that classroom. So after that, I left the school system, went back to the state of Florida as an investigator for an office called the Criminal Conflict and Regional Counsel's Office. My daily job is I'm an investigator there. I investigate, I serve subpoenas and investigate different types of crimes in the whole Third Circuit. The reason why I'm running because I want to give back to the school system. I am the best qualified candidate in District 2 race and everything because I've been in the trenches with the teachers. I understand how it feels to be in the classroom and to be there every single day with the kids, taking care of things that teachers are doing. And I've been in the trenches with those teachers and students and with the janitorial staff, the administrators and everything. So I have been there in the trenches. I'm running for office that of course I have the experience. I'm the only one who had at least a couple years of experience teaching school and everything, and I think I'm the better candidate in this race to do that. I ask for your support and your vote for early voting August the 4th and August the 14th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, candidate Davis. It's time now for candidate Robarts to make a 2-minute opening statement. Ms. Robarts, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. I'm Deborah Robarts, and I'm running for the vacant seat for Columbia County School Board District 2 board member. I was born and raised in Columbia County. I graduated with the class of 1979 of Columbia High School. I have 4 children, 3 of which graduated from Fort White High School. My 4th child is at Lake City Middle School. I have 32 years in the school district. I started out with the superintendent's office in 1979. I then was promoted to Melrose Park Elementary School, where I worked with 3 different principals. Roy Dix, Linda Sue Felder, and Jack Rankin. I then was promoted to Fort White High School whenever the school first opened in 2001. And then I was promoted later to purchasing assistant at the administrative offices. During my 32 years of experience, I have dealt with budgets. I have assisted in operating with the different levels, whether it be at the elementary, the secondary, or the administrative. I am a parent. I'm a mother that has views for our children. My experiences for 32 years has given me the knowledge in policies and procedures and state law, and I believe that I am the candidate for the vacant seat.
Thank you very much. Now time for question and answers on our broadcast. And to ask the questions, as he has the first three segments of the program, the editor of the Lake City Reporter, Robert Bridges. Robert, the floor is yours now.
Thanks, Mike. We'll start with candidate Brady. Ms. Brady, charter schools are on the rise in Columbia County. Is this a good thing?
Well, I believe charter schools, I understand that we have 2 schools that are either pending or seeking approval in Columbia County. And I believe that charter schools, there are pros and cons, and to be honest, I'll tell the viewing audience I need to do further research on charter schools, but pros and cons. The pros are this. Having charter schools will challenge the existing schools in our system to improve so that we can retain those students and the FTE money that goes along with them so that we can make a positive impact on our budget. So obviously anything that's going to encourage our current schools to improve and be better is positive. The downside of charter schools is that you have the same set of students, the same number of students fighting over the same pot of money, or not students not fighting, but schools going for the same amount of money. So we want to ensure that our budgets are sufficient to support all of these schools. There's only many students in Columbia County. There's only so many much FTE money. So if the charter schools are encouraging our other schools to improve, that's a good thing. But we need to ensure that we have an appropriate budget to fund all of our schools so that we can take care of all students in Columbia County. So those would be my concerns with charter schools.
Thank you, Ms. Brady. Mr. Davis, charter schools are on the rise. There are 2 now, more coming, or so the organizers hope. Is this a good thing?
I agree with what Dana said and everything. I think there's good and bad to charter school. My thing about the difference between charter school and the public school, what I see in charter school and everything, you get to pick the students you want to attend your school. You get to kind of make other kind of decisions and everything. In the public school system, you don't get to choose what students go to a public school. In a charter school, you get to choose who you kind of want. You have a criteria there, and you get it set up, and you actually get to choose the child that you want to go to school. In the public school, you don't have that option and everything. So I think it will actually make us step up as a public school system and everything. But I was educated in the public school system. I believe in the public school system. Yes, I do agree that the private school will make us step our game up and everything. But then again, I do believe in public education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Ms. Robarts, what are your views on charter schools?
Well, charter schools are here. The state has allowed them to come into our districts. We do have several that have already been approved for the district. I know that one of them already has nearly 250 students that have enrolled. I do agree with Mrs. Brady. It will bring competition to our staff to try and provide the best possible for our students. And every parent has the right to send their children to whichever school they choose, whether it be charter, public, or private. However, I would like to see that our county not bring as many charters in. We have to accept them if they follow in their applications are in full and they follow the state legislature laws. But I do believe that the more well-rounded children are those that are exposed to the core curriculum that the public school district provides and for the extracurricular activities.
Ms. Robarts, we'll stay with you. What are your views on the new merit pay law that ties teachers' salaries, at least in part, to the FCAT scores of their students? Well,
I'm not in favor of that law. I believe it's very strict. every employee needs to be held accountable for their job, and our job is for the students. I believe that if everyone does their job, the supervisors, directors, as long as they do their job and make sure that all employees, including teachers, give their best and our students perform at the level that they can perform, we're all held accountable. To me, that is performance pay. So hopefully with the mandates by the state that teachers' pay will not be based on strictly student performance. There are other areas that should be considered in with that.
Mr. Davis, what do you think of SB 736, the merit pay law?
Excuse me, Robert. I'm not in favor of Senate Bill 736 because of the fact there's, you know, 2 or 3 opponents. There's the opponent of the FCAT, that's part of teachers' pay, the student performance on the FCAT, and the evaluation part of that. I'm not in favor of that because I'm just saying that a teacher cannot totally control how a teacher, how a student do on the FCAT. I disagree with that and everything because it's just the idea. I think it's unfair to the educators. I know our teachers do a fine job. They work in the classroom, and I still say we can do the best we can teaching kids and everything. But just because a kid is smart, I have a friend of mine who have a very smart kid and everything, a decent anyway, but she was honest students and everything, but she could not pass the FCAT. And I feel like with that in effect and everything, I don't necessarily agree with that because I think the teachers do a hard job, and I certainly don't think their pay should be based on the total performance of their kids along with the eval system to make them get a raise or anything. So I totally disagree with Senate Bill 736.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Brady, what are your thoughts on merit pay as structured through the new law?
Well, if you're not familiar with Senate Bill 736, what it does is it eliminates continuing contract for all teachers after July 2011. And it bases teacher evaluations, 50% is based on student performance on standardized testing, and 50% is based on your standard teacher evaluations that we're used to seeing. Also, in order for a tenured or teacher who is on professional services contract or continuing contract to participate in the performance pay provided by Senate Bill 736, they must give up the security of their tenure in order to participate in performance pay, which may or may not come. So I have some serious concerns about Senate Bill 736. Although it is designed to ensure accountability within the school system, I believe it's a sweeping legislation aimed at teachers who are not performing. And I believe that is a minority. We have many wonderful teachers who are rated highly effective and effective in Columbia County, and those teachers should not be negatively impacted by wanting to participate in performance pay. So I have some concerns with Senate Bill 736. I also believe that it hurts recruiting within the educational world in that, you know, teachers are now going to be just on an annual contract, so they're going to be at the whim of a you know, are they hired next year or not? So it's going to be difficult to recruit more teachers because it's a disincentive or a barrier to recruiting. And also Senate Bill 736 is inadequately funded. It provides for performance pay, but it doesn't provide the funding to back that up. So there are some serious concerns that I have with Senate Bill 736 and to the morale, the impact that it will have on morale with our tenured teachers who are on professional services contract.
Thank you, Ms. Brady. We'll stay with you. Some schools in our district are doing better than others. Some schools are struggling badly. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do if elected to help the schools that are struggling?
Well, one thing is we have to try to pinpoint exactly why our schools are not performing well. If you look at our numbers, 2010, 2011, 10 of our 13 graded schools were A or B schools. This past year, 10 of our 13 graded schools are also anticipated to be A or B schools. We have 3 grades that are pending. However, when you look at the numbers, we have 4 schools that have dropped a letter grade in their ratings performance through the standardized testing for FCAT. So we need to look at what are the problems. Is it a problem can it be fixed administratively? Is it something that we need to look at the environment these children are living in, different communities? How can we work with parents? Can we get parents involved in activities at the school to help our students learn good study skills? Informing parents, I have found as a parent myself, that sometimes I need to understand the teaching strategies that are being implemented in our schools so that I can assist my child with studying so that they can perform the best in their classroom. So it may be that we can go out in these communities, and I believe that we should, not maybe, we should have programs that bring parents in and give them what they need as far as teaching their children good study skills. And we also need to reinforce for these parents the importance of education. Truancy may factor into this, and we need to stress to these parents the importance of getting our kids to school on time, well fed and ready to learn.
Thank you very much. Mr. Davis, same question. What are you going to do, if elected, to help some of our schools that are struggling and in some cases struggling badly?
Well, what I would like to see done, Robert, is just the idea. I know that we have schools in Columbia County. We have quite a few elementary schools that's A schools and everything. In particular, there's NEBLAC. I would propose or suggest to the superintendent, to the board, that we need to look at other possibilities. That there are schools like Columbia City, Westside Elementary, Paramount, that's A schools, a very good school and everything. I would propose that we look at our teachers. Our teachers are the backbone of our school system. I understand the reason why we're here is because of our kids and because of the students. But the teachers is the backbone of the school system. The teachers understand what's going on. The teachers understand what kid is going to do well, for the most part, that will perform well in school. I would suggest or make a proposal that we look at giving those other teachers that teach at those schools that's performing well, like Columbia City or Westside, some kind of structured bonus, something to maybe spend some time at those schools that's not performing well, and actually let them do a year or two there, get with the CTA and everything, and see can we have some kind of bonus structure that we can allow those teachers that's teaching, they're teaching right. I'm not saying teachers that low performing teachers not teaching. They're teaching the right thing because they're getting A's and everything. That we allow or propose those teachers be allowed to go to those underperforming schools and be given some kind of salary incentive or some kind of bonus to go there on a year basis or two-year basis to see can we bring up the performance of that failing school. I think that may be a good idea. It gives the teachers some kind of way to make an extra income and get them incentive to help, because as in one thing, we are all here for the students, and if they fail, we fail. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Robarts, if elected, what will you do to help some of our seriously struggling schools?
Well, first of all, I would support our administration. And again, it goes back to accountability. I think we've seen just recently in the school district where two schools that dropped letter grades drastically, the administration terminated them in those positions. And I think that's a key factor that you have to have at the top, the administration that supports the curriculum and the resources that it takes to provide the parents and the students that is needed to bring up grades, to be consistent. And I agree with CEDRIC in that I would like to see those schools that do have A's and continue with the A's, that they share the programs that they use and the resources that they pull from, and that they give support to those schools that are not performing at the level in which they should. There's a lot that you have to take into consideration. All of our teachers do a great job, but I do believe holding teachers, the administration, the students and the parents all accountable, and I think the state supports us in that, and that is one thing that we all need to get in track with. The schools, we have schools that have had A's for several years in a row, and they have students that come from very poor environment and they have very poor support at home, but they're making the grades. So it does work for no matter what your home life is, and I think that we just need to share and have mentors all the way through elementary, middle, and high school. The high school and their performances, we see one middle school that their students perform and have grade A and B's, and they send them on to the high school. So we know those students are there, and we know that they can do it. We just need to support them and share in our ideas and curriculum.
And that concludes the question and answer portion of our forum for this segment. It's time now for each candidate to make a 2-minute closing statement. And since candidate Brady made the first, she will go last. So candidate Robarts, you have the 2 minutes to make a closing statement.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone tuning in and listening, and for the college for giving us this opportunity to share our thoughts with our educational system. I am the candidate with 32 years of experience. I have worked at all different levels. I've worked with millions of dollars of budgets, and we have never been in the red. There are ways that you can funnel the needs and money for our students to get what they need and for the teachers to get the resources and in-service in which they need. I am the candidate that's been in the middle, that has dealt with the nuts and bolts of the school system. Your taxpayer dollars will start immediately the first day that I would take office. I do not have to be trained. I know the policies, procedures, and state law. I am prepared to start day one to help our students and employees to give our students the best that they can receive and to bring our students up in the top 10 percentile of the state in performance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Candidate Robarts. Time now for Candidate Davis to make a 2-minute closing statement to the residents of Columbia County. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. Like I said, thanks again to the Florida Gateway College and the Chamber of Commerce. I like to say that I'm the only candidate in this race who spent time in the trenches with the teachers, with the students in the past, and with the administrators and everything. I am the only candidate who's been there. I'm the only candidate, if you ask about who's spent time working on Florida Sunshine Standards, writing lesson plans, and actually being with the students, having to do IEPs, having to spend time, and when you're teaching class, you gotta actually be aware of 25, 30 students, other personalities. You got to know that. You know, there's times when I was to work every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. I spent time there, leave 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night time, go home, have to grade papers and everything. I understand how it is to be in the trenches with those people at the school system, and I understand how it feels to be there, everything. I understand that I ask you that don't get caught with this saying that I have the most experience, I have the most signs in this race, I spent the most money in this race and everything. I ask you to look at all qualifications, go to the supervisory election site, call me, call the candidates, and find out what does your candidate offer that you really want. As I traveled this community and everything, or this district and everything, there was a number of people say, I'm not going to vote because I don't have anybody in the school system. I encourage you to get out and vote, because those people who you choose not to vote for or get involved may wind up sitting in this chair one day wanting to be one of your school board members or the mayor or the county commissioner or anything. And I encourage you that we get the right one to do the job, and forget about I know your daddy, your grandfather. Vote for the right one. Look at my qualifications, look at what I've done in the past in the school system, and you will see I'm the best candidate in this race. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Candidate Davis. Time now for Candidate Brady to make a 2-minute closing statement. Ms. Brady, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you again for allowing me to participate in this program. It's been a wonderful experience. And it's important for you, the viewers and voters in Columbia County, to know what experiences and what qualifications we bring to the offices for which we are seeking, and not rely on catchy campaign slogans that may be misleading to the public. So the truth is that none of us sitting here tonight have experience on the Columbia County School Board, serving on the Columbia County School Board. So it's your job to determine which candidate has the qualities and the experiences that make them the best candidate for Columbia County School Board District 2. First, I challenge you to look at our educational backgrounds. Columbia County School Board members make decisions every day regarding how we are best preparing our students for college education. And I'm proud to say that I graduated from Lake City Community College, Florida State University, and the University of Florida. So I have a firm educational foundation and personal experiences in 2 state universities for helping to make those types of decisions. I also ask you to look at the leadership skills and the decision-making skills of the candidates. While, of course, it is admirable, and I commend anyone who's served 32 years in a position, I ask you to look at the quality of that experience. Has that person ever been promoted to a supervisory position or position of major decision-making responsibilities? Those are important questions to ask your candidates. I have worked as a prosecutor, I have worked as an instructor, and I've served on boards as the president of many decision-making boards. I've made decisions in interpreting the law and decisions that impacted students and residents of Columbia County. Decision-making is a skill which must be honed, and I have those skills. I also, finally, I'm the only candidate, once again, that has a vested interest in District 2 schools. So when I make decisions regarding these schools, I'll make decisions regarding my children, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes our third segment of candidate forums for this evening. A reminder to be sure to pick up tomorrow's Lake City Reporter. There is a tab in tomorrow's Lake City Reporter from the editorial board, and endorsements will be made tomorrow on the candidates that you've seen over the last 4 nights here on Florida Gateway College Television. When we come back on Florida Gateway College TV, we'll meet the candidates for Columbia County School Board District 5. Please don't go away. You're watching Candidate Forums on Florida Gateway College Television and WCJX Radio.